Hello everyone and welcome to Think Python. Today we learn multithreading. Multithreading utilizes the idle time of your processor to do tasks in parallel. Let me explain it with the help of an example. Imagine that you are three friends going on mountain climbing. Scenario 1 is that you have only one rope and all three of you will climb one after the other, and let us say each take 10 minutes, then in total you'll take 30 minutes. Scenario 2 is that you have 3 ropes. Now all 3 of you can climb in parallel. So time taken 10 minutes, speed super fast. Consider these 3 ropes as threads, and in Python the whole process is called multi-threading. Okay. Now so here I define a module called time. I'll tell you why. And now I define two functions. So one is tracking, and inside tracking I'll simply print something for, let us say, 5 times. So I'll say for I in range 5, print tracking is cool. Okay, and similarly I define one more function which is swimming, like this. So in Python we do not call it copy paste, we would say that I'm reusing the part of my code. Okay, so make a habit of saying reusing the code, not copying and pasting it. So here I'll change the print statement to swimming keeps you fit. Now because I have imported a module called time, so time is a module where you can keep the track of the time, and by using its different methods you can even get the current time. Okay, so now here when I call these functions one by one, so I'll call the function tracking, and just below it I call another function which is swimming. Now before I call these functions I'll use time keeping, so I'll use time dot time. Now this would return me the current time, which I'll store in a variable called t, and after I have executed these functions I'll simply print that done in some time. Okay, and that some time is, I'll say, current time, which is time dot time, and minus the value which is stored in t. Okay, so what will this do? This would basically subtract the current time from t, right? So t is the time when these functions were just about to be executed, and time dot time will return the current value. So this will give us the time in which this whole process is executed. Alright, so let us run the code and see what do we get at the output. So I'll run the code, and here see what we are getting here is, so the first function is getting executed and it is getting printed 5 times. Similarly this is also getting printed 5 times, and please note the time taken. So this is done in 0.0001611 second, right? Now I'll use the threading to perform the same operation, and we'll notice the time. Now please notice this time which is being taken here. Okay, and we'll try to reduce the execution time by making use of threading, right? So to do multi-threading I'll import the module called threading. So import threading, it is here. So I've imported threading here, and now instead of calling these functions directly, now we'll make a thread. I'll create my first thread t1, which is threading dot thread, and inside this you need to define a target, and in the target you need to give the name of your function. So I'll say tracking here, okay. And if your function takes some input, you can also pass the attributes inside this bracket, right? Similarly, I define the second thread on the name of T2, which is equal to threading dot thread, and here I'll pass the target as the name of my second function, which is swimming. So these threads are defined. Now this is how we define the threads, okay. And now I'll say T1 dot start. This is a substitute of calling the function directly. So as we have done here, so by multi-threading, both of these functions would be called and executed in parallel, okay. So refer to the example of the rope. Now in the first scenario we had only one rope and all three friends were climbing one after the other, but by using multi-threading we'll have three different rows and all are going to now climb in parallel simultaneously. So obviously the time would be reduced, and T1 dot start would start this thread which is trekking, and similarly T2 dot start would start this second thread, okay. Now here once we start the thread, we need to join them back to the main thread once the task is done. To join the two threads back to the main thread, we have to say T1 dot join, like that, and similarly for the second thread also we need to say T2 dot join. So this synchronize the threads to the main function and the execution joins back in the main thread, okay. These three friends who are climbing on the mountain by using three different rows, if you notice them at any given point in time ahead of each other or behind each other, to synchronize we can just tell them to wait for each other for, let us say, 1 second after every 10 minutes so that all of you are synchronized. So to do that we can define inside the function one method which is time dot sleep. So what I'm doing here is I'm basically telling this function to sleep for, let us say, 0.2 seconds. Now this would wait for the other function to reach it and then they'll both move together. Similar thing can be done here inside this function by using the time module. So time dot sleep. Here also I'll give a sleep or a waiting time of 0.2 seconds, okay. So now I do not need these functions, so let me make it a comment like this, and now let's run the code and see the execution time. So I hit run here and this code is getting executed, okay. And see, the time taken is now 2.145. This is e to the power minus 6. So this is 10 to the power minus 6. So imagine the execution time has reduced drastically by using multi-threading. So that is the beauty of multi-threading, and it is useful in big projects where you have thousands lines of codes. So by using multi-threading you can reduce this task. Always refer to that example where the same task is going on in parallel, right? So I hope you understand this concept of multi-threading. If you face any problem, please let me know in the comment section so that I resolve it. And till then, keep coding, keep moving forward. I'll see you around very soon. Take good care. Bye-bye.